You're staring at the screen. Your heart is pounding. The voice in your head is screaming that you need to do it now. That today is the day. That this time will be different. But your body won't move. Your fingers hover over the keyboard. Your legs refuse to stand. And in that frozen moment, you realize something terrible. You are not in control. You never have been. The thing you call you is actually a passenger in a vehicle driven by an ancient, terrified animal that will do anything to keep you safe, comfortable, and small. Most people die without ever realizing they were never the driver. If you're still here, you're different. You sense the cage, you feel the bars. But sensing them and escaping them are separated by an abyss most will never cross. This is not a motivational speech. Motivation is a drug that wears off by morning. This is about rewiring the machine itself. This is about the override method. Your brain was not designed for the life you want. It was designed for a world that no longer exists. 10,000 years ago, conserving energy meant survival. Avoiding unnecessary risk meant staying alive. Seeking immediate comfort meant not dying of exposure or starvation. That brain is still running your life. It still believes that hard work is a threat to your existence. It still treats discomfort as a warning signal. It still floods your system with resistance every time you try to do something difficult. This is why willpower fails. You are not fighting against laziness. You are fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming with nothing but a fleeting emotion. The brain wins every time. The modern world has weaponized this vulnerability. Everything around you is engineered to deliver instant gratification. Food arrives without hunting. Entertainment streams without effort. Validation appears without achievement. Your neural pathways have been trained to expect reward without work. The dopamine system, once calibrated to celebrate genuine accomplishment, now fires for absolutely nothing. You have become neurologically obese, overfed on empty pleasure, malnourished on genuine satisfaction. When you attempt something that requires sustained focus with no immediate payoff, your brain interprets it as a malfunction. The system panics. It screams for the pacifier. It screams for the phone, the snack, the distraction, for anything to return to baseline comfort. You are living in a state of constant sedation, a consumer of life rather than a creator of it. But there is a flaw in the system, a backdoor. The brain's greatest strength is also its weakness. It learns. It adapts. It can be reprogrammed. Neuroscience calls this plasticity. But that word is too sterile for what we're discussing. This is psychological warfare. This is alchemy. This is the deliberate reconstruction of your impulse architecture. The override method is not about fighting the resistance. Fighting creates more resistance. The method is about reversing the polarity. Teaching the brain that effort is the signal for growth and comfort is the signal for decay. Because comfort is decay. Comfort is the slow death of potential. If you're watching this, you already know. You feel it. The itch of mediocrity crawling under your skin. The knowledge that if nothing changes, you will die full of regret. Having never tested the limits of what you could have become. So, how do we flip the switch? How do we make the brain crave difficulty instead of fleeing from it? We begin with starvation. You cannot develop a taste for hard things while gorging on cheap pleasure. Imagine someone who eats sugar for every meal. If you offer them something bitter, something nutritious but difficult to consume, they will reject it. Their palate has been destroyed. Your brain is that person. The internet is the sugar. Before anything else can work, you must restore baseline sensitivity. You must reset your dopamine threshold. This is the part no one wants to hear, but it is the foundation. You must embrace boredom, not as punishment, as recalibration. Boredom is not a defect. It is a biological signal that you should be doing something meaningful. In the past, boredom drove exploration, creation, problem solving. Today, the instant boredom appears, you reach for the device in your pocket. You anesthetize the signal before it can speak. By doing this repeatedly, you castrate your ambition. You train the brain that discomfort will always be eliminated instantly. To reprogram the system, you must cut the supply line. Stop listening to music during every walk. Stop watching videos during every meal. Stop scrolling before every sleep. Sit with the silence. Let the discomfort build. When you remove the constant noise, the brain enters withdrawal. It craves stimulation desperately. And if you refuse to provide the cheap sources, if you refuse the phone, the endless content, the mindless consumption, eventually the brain becomes so hungry that even difficult work becomes appealing. This is the secret of the disciplined. They are not naturally stronger than you. They simply have no better options. They have structured their environment, so the only path forward is the work itself. When you're starving, plain food tastes extraordinary. When you're dopamine deprived, writing becomes thrilling. Exercise becomes a release. Creation becomes a drug. You must lower the water level to see the rocks. Ask yourself now, what are you using to numb yourself? What is your pacifier? Identify it. Remove it. This is not about punishment. This is about resource allocation. Your attention is finite. Every moment spent on something that returns nothing is stolen from your future. Once the noise is lowered, you will feel something unfamiliar. An agitation, a restless energy building inside you. That is the fuel. Now we ignite it. Here is the mechanics of procrastination. A thought enters your mind. I should work. I should train. I should create. Immediately, a second voice responds. But I'm tired. I'll start later. It's not the right time. That gap between intention and action is where potential goes to die. That is the negotiation phase. The longer you remain in that space, the louder the excuses become. And because you are intelligent, the excuses will sound logical. The brain is masterful at rationalizing inaction. The override method requires you to destroy that gap. You need a kill switch. The rule is absolute. Once the thought of necessary action enters your mind, you have exactly 3 seconds to physically move your body toward that task. Not 3 minutes, 3 seconds. If you wait longer, the limbic system activates, fear rises, negotiation begins. But if you move before 3 seconds expire, you ambush your own brain. You act before the defense mechanisms can deploy. You bypass the internal parliament entirely. This is how you hack the hardware. You do not wait to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Feeling ready is for amateurs. Professionals move regardless of feeling. The thought appears. 3, 2, 1. Stand, Walk to the desk, open the laptop, lift the weight. Write the first sentence. You are moving faster than your emotions can catch up. Motion creates emotion. We think motivation must precede action, but the science shows the opposite. Action generates motivation. The dopamine comes after movement, not before it. When you use the 3-second rule, you are telling your brain that we do not negotiate with terrorists. And that voice of resistance is a terrorist. It holds your potential hostage and demands you stay comfortable in exchange for its silence. Every time you override the hesitation, you rewire neural pathways, you strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the executive center. You weaken the amygdala, the fear response. It will be uncomfortable at first. The brain will scream. It will invent urgent distractions. Ignore them. Move. This is how you build self-trust. Confidence is not believing you're good at things. Confidence is knowing you keep promises to yourself. Every time you count down and move, you prove you're in command. You prove you are the driver, not the passenger. Now we go deeper. Why do you avoid hard things? Because they hurt. They're boring. They're stressful. But what if pain was not a signal to stop? What if pain was confirmation that you're doing it right? The average person interprets stress as evidence something is wrong. This is hard, therefore I should stop. The exceptional interprets stress as evidence of growth. This is hard, therefore I am evolving. This is pathological reframing. You must condition yourself to associate friction with progress. Think about physical training. When muscle fibers tear and burn, you don't panic. You celebrate. You chase that sensation. You understand that discomfort is the price of strength. You have successfully reframed physical pain as a positive signal. Now apply that to everything else. When you sit down to work and feel that wall of resistance, that urge to escape, that mental fog, visualize that sensation as mental weightlifting. The friction is the repetition. If it were easy, it wouldn't be transforming you. The brain learns through association. If you consistently tell yourself that you love the grind, that you love the difficulty, that this is where weakness leaves your body, you eventually trick the biological response. You take the thing you fear and make it your home. When you find yourself enduring something difficult, say this aloud. This is what separates me. Because it does. Look around. The masses are soft. They are easily broken. They cannot sit still for 10 minutes. They cannot read without checking notifications. They crumble at the first sign of real adversity. By simply enduring friction, you enter the top percentile of humanity. The pain is the gatekeeper. It keeps pretenders out. If the path to greatness were easy, everyone would walk it. The difficulty is what gives the destination its value. So when pain arrives, don't flee. Lean into it. Smile at it. Treat it like an old rival who has come to test your resolve. Ask it, is that all you have? This shift in perspective is the override itself. You stop searching for the easy route and start searching for the steepest climb. Because you know the view is better from the summit, and the only way to the summit is through struggle. Habits are powerful, but identity is supreme. You will never consistently do hard things if you see yourself as a lazy person trying to be productive. That is internal conflict. Your identity always wins. If you believe you are lazy, you will sabotage your own success just to prove yourself right. To reprogram permanently, you must kill the old self. You must adopt a new archetype. You are not someone trying to work. You are an operator, a machine, a builder. Stop using the language of the victim. I'm trying. I'm struggling. It's hard for me. Delete these phrases. Replace them with the language of sovereignty. I require, I execute, I am. When you wake, you do not ask what you want to do. It does not matter what you want. It matters what is required. A soldier does not ask if he feels like fighting. He has orders. An athlete does not ask if she feels like training. She has a schedule. You must treat your life with the same professional detachment. You are both the commander and the soldier. The commander sets the plan. The soldier executes it. The soldier is not permitted to have opinions about the commander's orders. This detachment is liberating. It removes the emotional weight from decision-making. You don't decide whether to work out. The decision was already made by the commander version of you last night. You simply execute. This is the state elite performers describe as flow. It is the absence of self-consciousness, the absence of doubt, pure action. To anchor this identity, use physical markers. Wear specific clothing when you work. Put on certain headphones. When those headphones are on, you are the machine. You do not browse, you do not chat, you work. Condition your brain to switch modes based on environment. You are creating a Pavlovian response to your own existence. You are training yourself like an animal. And that is not an insult. The animal part of your brain needs commands. It needs structure. It needs to know who the master is. Be the master. We discussed starving the brain of cheap dopamine. Now we discuss the good kind. The dopamine from scrolling is hollow. It evaporates in seconds and leaves you empty and anxious. But the dopamine from completing something difficult, that is different. That is serotonin. That is pride. That is deep, resonant satisfaction that settles into your bones. The override method is not about joyless existence. It is about trading cheap pleasure for deep satisfaction. You must learn to crave the aftermath. When you're staring at a cold shower, a blank page, a heavy barbell, don't focus on the act itself. Focus on how you will feel 10 minutes after it's done. Visualize walking back to the car after a brutal workout. You feel light, powerful, like you conquered something. Visualize closing the laptop after 4 hours of deep work. You feel justified in your rest. That feeling is better than any drug. It is the feeling of competence. Your brain can be trained to chase that sensation. This is the payoff loop. Trigger, the hard thing appears, override, 3-second kill switch, action, lean into friction, reward, deep peace of completion. If you repeat this loop enough, the brain starts connecting the hard thing with the deep peace. Eventually, you will feel anxious when you are not doing hard things. You will feel unbalanced on rest days. People will call you obsessed. They will call you a workaholic. They won't understand. They will think you're punishing yourself. They don't realize you are the only one actually having fun. Because there is no fun in mediocrity. There is no joy in wasted potential. There is only a low hum of misery. True joy is the byproduct of effort. Let's go to the darkest corner. Why does any of this matter? Why not just live comfortably? Why not be average? Because you know you're capable of more. Deep philosophy speaks about the necessity of danger. A harmless man is not good. A harmless man is simply weak. A good man is a dangerous man who has his power under control. Doing hard things makes you dangerous. It gives you capacity. It gives you agency. When you override your brain, you prove you are not enslaved to impulse. If you cannot control what you eat, you are a slave. If you cannot control where your attention goes, you are a slave. If you cannot make yourself do what you say you will, you are a slave. And slaves are not happy. The ultimate goal is sovereignty, becoming king of your internal kingdom. There is a war inside you right now. A civil war between your higher self and your lower self. The lower self uses fatigue, distraction, and fear to keep you contained. It wants you to stay in the cave. The higher self wants you to ascend. It wants you to burn. Every time you choose the hard path, you feed the higher self. You give it weapons. You give it territory. If you do this enough days consecutively, the lower self begins to starve. It shrinks. It loses its voice. It never truly dies. The shadow is always there, but it is no longer the master. It becomes the servant. Imagine the version of you that exists 5 years from now if you apply this method every single day. Imagine the skills that person possesses, the physique, the bank account, the calmness, the authority. That person is waiting for you to stop negotiating. That person is screaming at you to count down. 3, 2, 1. You now have the code. You understand the biological betrayal. You know that comfort is a cage. You have the 3-second kill switch. You know how to reframe pain as power. But knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential. Power is execution. This video is about to end. When it does, silence will rush back. And in that silence, you will have a choice. Your brain will immediately try to serve you another video. It will try to keep you in the consumption loop. It will try to sedate you again. Do not let it. The moment this screen goes black, pick one thing, one hard thing you have been avoiding, and attack it. Not tomorrow, now. Use the agitation you feel right now. Use the anger. Use the hope. Override the system. Most won't. That's the point.